Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Controller Chronicles, episode 5. It's been a minute. What's up, everybody?
Damn, there's cobwebs over here.
I know it's cobwebs and dust kicking up. But what's up, man? What's up, everybody? I'm hosting today's episode, joined by Meta and Blinded. How you guys doing today?
Pretty good.
I'm doing all right. It's close to Christmas. Everyone's getting excited.
So we're recording this on December 21st of 2023, and a lot has happened. Not just in video game news, but just in personal lives and everything. So I feel like we kind of want to open this episode just talking about where we've been, what we've been up to. So obviously the last piece of content that we produced for the channel was our live stream covering the Game Awards. That was the last big thing. Giant, epic 5-hour long stream. Check that out.
Jeff Keighley couldn't realize that it was time to stop.
Yeah. But yeah, everything, it's been a crazy year, ever since Gamescom. I kind of feel like, this fall season, we've kind of like, tried to do our best, but obviously things got ahead of us a little bit. So I kind of want to talk about where things are at with us and just kind of the status of the channel. I feel like that definitely we should start by having Meta talk about this because, you got to take a little bit of a break, of course, and not something that's like been hidden or anything. It was, you got to take a break for a little bit. Just kind of want to ask you where you're at with things and how you're feeling about the channel as we go into 2024.
Yeah, so a couple months ago, I said I am taking a break from everything because of my mental health. Mental health is a work in progress. This isn't something that immediately just like gets cured. I have been going to therapy. It has been helping. It's really been relieving and relaxing to go to someone, and that's like a third party to my life, and like tell them everything that's been weighing me down, and they're just giving their opinion without fully knowing I have to explain like what's going on, and they help me through this. So it's been nice. But yeah, and on top of that, school, I've been, I finished this semester. I passed English 101, so that's great. Going into next semester, I am increasing my workload by a couple of classes. So at least me being on more episodes maybe depends on if I can get the work done and I have some free time. It'll depend on that. I believe, not to say that these two don't have their own shit going on, because they do, but like mine is the most chaotic because there's also a bunch of family stuff that's going to be happening at the beginning of the year, and it's just going to be batshit insane. And that's not me exaggerating. It's going to be batshit insane for me.
Yeah. Then I'll go to you, Blinded. How are things been since we last did an episode, and it's kind of like the whole going into 2024? How's your schedule looking? How are things looking for the channel? You feel like going into next year?
I mean, yeah, I'm gonna be free for quite some time. I've been all over the place this month, but yeah, it's looking good. I'm excited for the new year just because I really want to put some effort into the channel and stuff. So I'm dedicated to it, and also a lot of other stuff that's going on in my life. But yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, as for me, it's been a chaotic second half of the year for me as well, mostly just with job hunting and just trying to get my career started and other stuff. And some success, some not so successful stuff. Right now, still going to be free for the time being, where I'm going to be flexible. So the goal, obviously, is, I think, for all of us, to try and make things work better moving forward, to be a little bit more consistent moving forward. This wasn't like this show was never going to be like a consistent, like every week show. We kind of knew at some point it wasn't going to be like that, but I feel like going into next year, we're going to be pushing this channel even more so next year. We're going to have like an entire year now where we can push the channel and really try and do our best with it. I feel like next year it's going to be a really good year for the channel. I feel like good year for opportunity, good year for growth, good year for everything. The stuff that we have planned, we want to do giveaways and stuff. We want to like do a little bit more live stream content because that seems to like really get engagement, and everyone seems to really like the live stream stuff we do. So yeah, and I got other plans too for next year. I want to try and do stuff on my own channel again, but this is always going to be a focus for me too. So
And I also want to say that even if I'm not on screen with these two, I am going to be behind the scenes helping them work. I do want to be behind the scenes helping them work out plans for the content that they have in mind for all of you, because at least I can help coordinate at the
Right.
very least.
Yeah, and there's something that we can talk about this a little bit too after this episode and planning forward. Also, too, it could be an opportunity to bring on some guests occasionally.
I was just thinking that.
Yeah, that's something else we might be looking into next year with the show as we move into into further episodes of the podcast and everything. And
because
like I said, we're kind of still in this like planning and phase. We're still like we're still in our growth phase a little bit. We're still trying to learn our lemmings in our like our I don't know what the word for developmental stage, I guess, for the show.
We're in our infancy.
There we go.
Infancy development stage.
We're in our infancy development stage, and I mean, I have been for the most part, offline, of course, talking to these two fine people among others on Discord, but I have been, because it's been good for my mental health. I've been finding my way more into some other communities for other content creators, mostly in the VTuber community. Like, that has just been a very positive it's been a very positive experience right now, and I've met a lot of sweet people. I would love to have some of them on as guests to talk about certain things, and even for certain live streams when we do events, like having them on would be fun. They're really cool people. So yeah, I've been making connections while I've been away, and that's just been all around fun for me.
That's good. That's kind of where things are at for the channel right now, and obviously, once we figure things out a little bit, we can get more updates because we do have more episodes planned. I think we even have one more episode before the end of the year planned that we want to do.
Yep.
That'll be kind of like our 2023 wrap up. We're talking about our favorite games of the year, like our game of the year and our favorite stuff and all that good stuff. And speaking of which, let's jump into our traditional, our segment that we are most famous for, chronicling the games that we're playing. So I will ask Meta, I'll ask you first. What games are you currently playing as we head to the end of 2023?
Well, I will say, for all you boys and girls, even though I've been slammed with work and school, I'm on winter break now. I've been able to finally kick my feet up a bit and play a game or two. And I'll be honest, I've been working my way through the Jak and Daxter series again. It's been so much fun. While I was in school, I was playing every 30 minutes or so a bit of Jak 2, and I finally finished Jak 2, and now I'm on Jak 3. And honestly, all I need to do now is just beat the final boss, and I'm done with Jak 3. There you go.
Nice. Blinded, what games have you been playing as we head towards the end of the year?
Yeah, I've been quite all over the place. I was playing Pikmin 1 and Gotham Knights, which I had to drop because it was so bad.
Don't start. Don't start with me.
And then I started playing The Last Guardian, but then I switched to playing Batman Arkham Knight, so replaying that again. And that's because I'm trying to work on a retrospective video on it. So, like, talk about the history and give my sort of review of the mechanics and things like that. So, it's going to be a detailed video.
So, would that video just be on Arkham Knight or, like, the entire Arkham series?
That one is just going to be on Arkham Knight.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that game is turning 8 years old, I think,
9.
next year.
No, 9.
9?
It's almost
9. Oh, my bad.
It came out 2015, and it's almost 2025.
Oh, my goodness. That's crazy. Wow.
Yeah, it is crazy.
I just see Braille putting in the clip. Perhaps I was too harsh to you.
I was about to post that, You know
what, though? I'm an Arkham Knight defender. I've always have been, always will be. I do enjoy that game quite a lot. I do. Like, it's not perfect, but I love a lot about that game. I think it's aged.
Yes, I agree.
It's aged pretty well, I would say. A couple aspects, not so much, but for the most part, it's aged pretty well.
Yeah, I would just say the story, to be honest.
The story.
Even that, I feel like it's not that bad. But
no, there's good stuff in that story. There's some really good stuff in that story. And we'll get into stories when it comes to the Arkhamverse in a little bit with our main topic of the show today.
Oh, shit. You saying that actually just made me realize that Arkham Origins turns 10.
Oh, yeah? 10
yeah,
years
this
old.
year. 10.
Still waiting for that modern port.
Oh God, it's never gonna happen, RJ. Just give up hope.
Never.
Yeah,
give
it's
up.
That's
Never.
the underrated gem of the Arkham series, in my opinion. That's
Arkham
the
Origins,
underrated one.
yeah, Arkham Origins is a great game that deserves more love, but oh well.
Anyway,
it's hard to it's hard. I mean, all those 3 games, I feel like they are 10 out of 10 games. So,
Yeah, all of them are great in their own ways, absolutely.
Yeah.
So as for me, what I've been playing, it's mostly boiled down to 2 games. One of which is Fortnite. In December they launched Chapter 5 Season 1, and now Fortnite is basically the metaverse. It's basically Ready Player. I mean, there's so many. It's
Stop
so
that.
many different games now. They added the rocket racing mode. They added the Fortnite Music Festival mode, which is basically made by the people who made Rock Band. They have a racing mode made by the people who made Rocket League.
Fortnite has just turned into the brand.
Well, and they had the Lego Fortnite mode, which is like blowing up in popularity. It was huge. And I've been playing this season. Again, I like Fortnite. It's a good multiplayer game. It's a good chill game. It's a good game to play with friends. But that is not what I'm mainly here to talk about. I can talk about Fortnite any other time because it's going to go on for the rest of the time. The main game I have been playing this month, actually the last couple of months, I have been playing Baldur's Gate 3. Again,
Harmon Smith's favorite game.
I know, right? He loves Baldur's Gate 3. In all seriousness, though, I've been playing this game for the last couple months. I am, again, haven't been able to really chronicle my journey with that game, but I'll definitely talk about it maybe in the next episode of the podcast. Right now, I am near the end of Act 3. I'm kind of like, I got to wrap up some of my companion quests. I got to wrap up some of the side content. I'm thinking about another 15 to 20-ish hours with the game left before I head into the final battle and everything and end the game. I have a lot to say on it. I could spend like an hour talking about Baldur's Gate 3. I'm not going to. All I'm going to say is that I continue to just, like, I have like 97 hours in the game. Part of that, though, is because I restarted. I played about 20 hours and restarted. So my playthrough for my character right now, I think, is at like 55 hours-ish. And then you add like 5 hours of like pausing and leaving the room. So like 60 hours of gameplay, honestly. It's, again, everyone's talking about Baldur's Gate 3. Everyone knows about it.
It's a big game.
It's a big game, but like, if you just, I mean, it's like a concise like 40 to 50-ish hour RPG just from a story level with everything that you're doing, probably up towards like 70 to 80 hours. But it's been an extraordinary experience getting to play that game. I love it to pieces. The memes are true. You wake up at like 9 o'clock in the morning and start playing, and then suddenly you turn around and it's like nighttime. It's like, where'd the time go? Because it just grabs you so much.
It's that fun.
Yeah, and like I said, I'm in Act 3 right now. I've made it to the actual city of Baldur's Gate. And again, no spoilers, obviously, but like, I've had a ton of, like, just for an example, one of the crazy things that happened is I'm trying to I finished the Starian's companion quest, the vampire companion. And one of my other companions, I have to steal something from one of the big villains of the game. I'm not gonna say what happened, but in one of the brilliant ways that Larian constructed the game, one of your characters in your camp or a different character can get kidnapped. So now that character, one of my characters, is not going to spoil who, they have been kidnapped. So I had to go on a completely different side journey to portray one of the villains I made a deal with in order to kill him to get an item, so I can go get to the other villain who's kidnapped my companion, so I can go finish their companion quest. So like, the game's kind of like steering me towards the end of the game in a very ingenious way, which I like. Because now it's like everything's lining into place where I finish this quest line and kill this villain, then they go confront this villain as the final villain before the final boss, and I get that companion back to finish the last big companion quest. So that kind of thing. I mean, it's just, like I said, I could talk about this game for like an hour. I really could.
That and Fortnite.
Not Fort. I mean, Fortnite's not much really to say. I mean, this game I have way more to say. And like I said, next episode will probably just be an hour of me talking about Baldur's Gate 3 and my experience with it. I'm not even kidding.
I love how we all started Starfield. Has any of us finished it?
No.
No.
I'm waiting for the update, actually. There's a massive update coming in February, so...
Oh, shit.
And it's going to completely, fix a lot of the problems with the games, like the map, the traversal, fast traveling. The game is getting a big revamp, including the expansion.
Vehicles? Are we getting vehicles?
That would be probably not
yeah.
DLC. I feel bad because like I want to finish Starfield. I just kind of like got distracted. Like I said, once Baldur's Gate 3 showed up, my life
on
changed.
Xbox.
No, on PlayStation. I couldn't wait for the Xbox.
Oh,
I picked it up on PlayStation. I'm playing on PlayStation 5. I've been playing it since like October. So
when the time comes, we may need to go questing.
Oh yeah. The multi. I haven't even dabbled in multiplayer yet, which is crazy. That's a whole other.
Bro, do you got it?
No, I'm waiting for a sale.
It's actually on sale right now on PlayStation.
It's not
Network.
that big of a sale though. It's not.
Well, here's the thing. For me, for whatever reason, Baldur's Gate 3 is the conversion rate price, which I'm definitely not going to buy. So that's like $95 instead of it not being 90.
Wow.
Yeah.
I will say though. Future. Here's the thing though. It is expensive at $95 Canadian, but it's worth every penny. I mean, this game, it like I said, it's for the value of like, because I spent $80 because I got the digital deluxe version. Like for me, like the value was insane. Like I don't regret spending $80 on this game whatsoever. I'll
probably try to grab the physical. Honestly,
I do want to get the physical. That was another thing too.
That is something I'm probably going to invest in, actually.
But it's only available.
I typically
overseas.
don't. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yes. It's only available on Play Asia.
No. They're coming out with their own. Larian's coming out with their own physical version on their website.
When?
Sometime next year.
Okay.
It's going to have like a bunch of physical items and stuff too.
I'll just wait till then.
I will tease the listeners with this. I will not reveal who I romanced yet. We'll have to wait till next episode. But it did not go the way I thought it was going to go whatsoever. I will put it that way. It did not go the way I was going to go whatsoever. And I have a very funny story about how my Bard character got caught in a love triangle, which got very intense and very bad very quickly until I resolved it.
You resolved it with a three-way, didn't you?
No, I was shocked.
A gentleman never reveals this.
I'll be straightforward and honest. You cannot. That's the one. That's the one thing with the game. You cannot have polygamous relationships.
Larry, come on, bro. It's the Middle Ages.
However, there's only one character that you can have a polygamous relationship with, where you can be in a relationship with him and another companion, and that's the druid Halsin, the guy who turns into a bear, the funny bear meme guy. That's it. Because he believes in polygamy, because he's a nature guy. He's like, oh, nature tells me where to go. You know.
That's DiCaprio's favorite romance option.
Oh, but yeah, I will tease you all. But like I said, I will talk more about Baldur's Gate 3 in next week's episode, because you can definitely see where things are going when it comes to like my favorite game of the year and everything. It's pretty obvious, but talk about next week. Like I said, just teasing you with a little bit of a taste of the Baldur's Gate 3 discussion. Because like I said, I can go on for hours talking about it.
I have the trial from PS Plus, and I intend to play it. I
don't
know
even bother.
No,
because,
RJ,
like,
I want to. Listen, I just want to taste. I do. I just want a little. The
trial literally end by the time you finish the character creation.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, the customization is ready to go when I get the game. Then
I went to a friend's house who had it, and the customization is absolutely insane. It's very detailed.
I kid you not. I think I spent like about an hour and a half making my character and their guardian, and then customizing the build I wanted to go for.
And it's not just the look; it's how the character's gonna play. Yeah.
It's the look, it's the stats, it's the customization of what kind of
well, again, like, at least I'll have all this finished, so when I get the game, I can just jump right in.
Yeah, I mean, hey, listen, it's a free trial. Use it how you want to. That's all I gotta say.
He's just like, listen, You don't get to do jack shit, but you do you.
Yeah. And then obviously with Christmas, I'm sure I'm going to get some gifted games. There are some games I definitely want to pick up and play before the end of the year. Mostly Nintendo stuff. I still need to play Super Mario Wonder. I still need to play Pikmin 4. And I still need to play Mario RPG. Those three are definitely games I still need to get to. Like I said, it's been a jam-packed year. So much to talk about. And again, we'll continue this conversation going into next week. But on that note, it's going to end this segment, and then we're going to work our way to our main topic for today, which is a doozy of a main topic because, like, so much has happened within the last couple of days. Like, if we did an episode yesterday, we would have missed information. You know, if we were to record yesterday, it's just it's ongoing. It's an ongoing story, but we kind of waited until like the last possible minute where it's like, okay, maybe nothing else major is going to come out, and that is a general conversation on leaks. Because it does feel like leaks have gotten especially bad this year. We had the Microsoft leaks with the FTC, which kind of leaked a lot of information about where Microsoft is going and some of their plans. And then I want to say, was it last week that supposedly there were major leaks with Rocksteady and the Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League game. And that's kind of where we're going to start this off a little bit and kind of talk about what happened there. Because the Rocksteady leaks, I feel like kickstarted a whole month of leaks, if that makes sense.
Yes.
Like, we thought the Rocksteady stuff was bad, and that was where it was going to stay at, but then it got worse with another company that had a major leak that we'll get to. So, I didn't keep up much with the Rocksteady leaks. I know that there was a alpha that I can say that we all played. We can't comment on it, but we all played the alpha. And some stuff from the alpha did leak, like some gameplay clips and some other things. So I guess like data miners supposedly found screenshots and character models of characters, which they did reveal. They just put out a trailer yesterday that showed Rick Flag and Poison Ivy, like a little kid version of Poison Ivy. It's called Ivy. And then supposedly there were like dialogue, voice clips that leaked and some other stuff. Like, what's going on with Suicide Squad? Anyone want to fill me in? Because I'm lost.
I mean, that's pretty. So basically, the leaks entailed what additional characters we'll be getting in the future. Because remember, this is a live service game, and they're going to be adding onto it, you know, consistently, I guess, hopefully. Also, we got a massive plot dump, which now turns out to be partly true or half trues.
Yeah,
it's not very clear.
Well, the last thing I saw, because this comes from that the Miller, Miller, that account, who I actually am friendly with on social media. I've talked to him in the past. He's a really good guy. He's a cool dude. He's been data mining the stuff, and we can talk about what he leaked. I mean, it's public out there. He basically leaked that some of the DLC characters in the future, one of them is going to be Deathstroke.
Yes.
And I think the other one that's rumored, I think, was what?
Joker and
Killer Croc.
Yeah, Killer Croc was also rumored. He teased that. And also Mr. Freeze. I think also Katana is supposed to be in it. And yeah, that's it's a lot of. Surprisingly, there's a lack of characters from James Gunn's Suicide Squad, so there's no Peacemaker, at least as far
not
as
yet.
he's
not
put.
Yet, at least.
Not yet.
And no Bloodsport either, I don't think, right?
No Bloodsport.
No Bloodsport, no Ratcatcher. So yeah, definitely seems like it's just characters that are familiar in the Arkhamverse. That's not characters you've seen before.
But here's the thing. Yeah, because we did mention Joker is also a playable character, but as many of you know, Joker is dead.
So how that's going to work, we'll have to wait and see.
Well, it plays into the plot leak, I could say that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Which I don't think we want to spoil the entire plot, because I feel like that'd be a bit too much. We don't want to say too much.
I won't spoil the plot, but I'll say this. If you're familiar with Injustice, then...
Damn.
Or the DC Elseworlds or like multiverse stuff. Like, you kind of see where things may be going.
No. This is the better way to put it. Where has comic book media in general been going this past few years?
Right.
In general. Like just animation, comics, movies.
You
get it. You get what we're going with here. not even just DC. Again, just superheroes and
just everything. Yeah. So that leads into the other part though, with that the Miller kind of on social media was basically like, because this post on Reddit I think blew up with the plot leak, right?
Yes.
And then Miller responded on social media saying, on Twitter, saying some of this is true, some of this is not. Now it's been clarified. This happened recently, I think yesterday, which is a good thing we're recording today on the 21st.
Oh, that was today.
Oh, it was today? I thought it was yesterday. Either way, this happened just recently, before we started recording, that the person on Reddit admitted that they made up a lot of it. So the initial plot leak that came out with those leaked dialogue clips and some leaked screenshots, not all of it is true. And now we have no clue what the actual plot is. Now, Miller did tease that he's going to drop the story on his own, like the actual legit story, like the general beats of it and like what's true. Like, I think he's responding to the leak. What is a shame, though, is that this Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League plot leak has surfaced, and it's caused the negativity for this game to increase tenfold. With the alpha, I felt like the game was turning around public perception a little bit because you actually got to play it. And for the
behind the scenes, I would say.
Behind the scenes, people were getting excited. And I think the general consensus on the game was supposedly maybe it was going to be a little more positive. Then these leaks come out, and everyone's being negative towards the game again. And now we're finding out that those leaks were like maybe majority were wrong, were false, and now it's just like, well, that sucks because like now it's like the narrative about this game is kind of screwed at this point.
Right. I mean, we were even. I mean, not RJ, but me and Meta read the leaks and we were disappointed. I will admit that I was disappointed.
I was the only one trying to be positive when they came out. I swear.
RJ was trying to insert the hopium. We said, get that shit out of here.
And I ended up being vindicated because most of that was BS.
Well, even now, we can't really say if it's good or bad.
I will say this. They did and this is not me saying leaks. This is public information now because they released this in a another video they did yesterday or the day before yesterday. Either way, Poison Ivy is back as a child. That is confirmed.
So that leak was true. Yes, that leak was true.
That leak was true. They confirmed that themselves in their video. I'm still like, I feel like that is them trying to retcon what they did in Arkham Knight. I feel like they kind of like, they looked at some things they did and they're like, yeah, we really shouldn't have done that.
Well, they kind of teased it a little bit because like there was an Arkham Knight, spoiler alert, for like a game that's like almost like a decade old. When Poison Ivy sacrifices herself, there was like a little sprout. So it's like, okay, there was at least a tease that she could come back. Just not in this way. We didn't know it was going to be like this. But I mean, there was teases that she could come back.
Well, I'm just thinking if that's true, then the ones surrounding her, I feel like are also true, possibly.
It's possible, yeah. And we just gotta wait and see. It's kind of the big thing with that.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to wait now. I'm still on the fence about buying the game day one, even though, I mean, I can't say my impressions, but yeah, I'm just sort of like, do I want to play the game or not? I'm more focused on the story, which I think a lot of people are, not so much the live service elements. So
yeah,
this is.
We'll get into.
I still think this game is doomed, regardless of what it scores.
Yes.
I think it's doomed. Yeah.
I hope not, though. I hope it can turn around because I don't think, I think the press behind it, I don't think it's fair to the game because I do think that they are trying to make an actual quality live service game and just the game in general. I mean, they did recently post in their Discord and they made this official that they are working on an offline mode where you can just play by yourself the story mode.
That restored a lot of goodwill with a lot of people.
And it may not be there at launch, but it's going to be there in like a couple months after launch. Hopefully, that's the goal.
Right.
So, I mean, I feel like they are trying to listen and do some good things with it. It's just that I think the narrative around the game, I don't know how they're going to fix it and recover it. It's a shame because I don't think the game deserves it. You know.
Right.
Well, I mean,
the narrative is out there, right? That's the thing, and fans aren't gonna. It's not going to change. That's why I say it's doomed, right? The fans are already rabid, and we already know how people
have already made their mind up.
Yeah, like I'm willing to be like, okay, yeah, maybe if it's not, that plot leak isn't real, right? Then I'm gonna go back to with holding judgment, right? Until I actually see the game itself or read the reviews, right? So yeah.
I'm gonna probably end up picking it up during the summer, honestly, because it comes out the same day as P3R, and I'm sorry, whatever free time I have, that is the game. One of the two games I'm gonna be playing, but we can talk about that in the next episode. But yeah, like I'm gonna pick up Suicide Squad, but it's just poor timing on when it's releasing. You know, early next year, heavy JRPG. And again, everyone immediately, as soon as the first bit of gameplay was shown at the PlayStation showcase, like immediately people were saying, "Oh, it's Avengers again."
Yeah, I'll be honest. That PlayStation showcase did not do that game any favors when they first
No.
revealed
No, it did not.
the gameplay. It did not do any favors. It was not a good showcase. I don't think it's a game that, like, I don't know how to put it, but it just, like,
Well, I also think that the package itself,
just,
the way the marketing package itself from that showcase was also bad. It wasn't just the showcase itself; the way that they marketed it was also bad.
Then the way they talked about it, just
absolutely,
yeah, it just did not click. Yeah, but again, the Rocksteady stuff was just the tip of the iceberg. Now we're getting into the juicy stuff here, because this is where the shit hit the fan. So how many days ago was this?
it wasn't just the shit; it was the whole kit and caboodle.
Was this on Monday?
I don't remember, but this ransomware hacker group came. This started a while ago.
Yeah, this started 2 weeks ago, I believe.
This started a few weeks ago, because if you remember, this ransomware hacker group came forward and said, we have information on Insomniac Games and their developers, and they were putting out passports, and they were putting out doxing information about Yuri Lowenthal, like his personal address and like some other stuff about him, which is just absolutely heinous and disgusting. First off, absolutely horrible. Okay, I want to get that out of the way. Then on Monday, shit hit the fan. Okay, they were like, we want $2 million in Bitcoin, or we're gonna leak a bunch more stuff about your employees, their financial information, your game company's financial information, and your games. And Sony and Insomniac, they did not pay, they did not buy.
We do not negotiate with terrorists.
Yeah, they didn't negotiate with the terrorists. They said, we're not paying you the $2 million in Bitcoin, which, by the way, that's so stupid. $2 million in Bitcoin, really? When the Bitcoin markets collapse? Okay, whatever.
Should have been Doge.
Yeah, Dogecoin or something, but whatever. And then Monday, everything hit the internet. We're talking, again, the extent of this leak was massive.
1.7 terabytes worth of information.
1.7 terabytes of information. Again, employee information, company information, financial information. Like employee passports and addresses were getting leaked. Company financial statements,
despicable.
PowerPoints. Yeah, all despicable, horrible stuff. And then some game stuff leaked. The main thing that leaked, like the main exhibit in the Leaker Hacker Museum was Marvel's Wolverine. They leaked gameplay, they leaked concept art, they leaked the voice actors. They pretty much the plot of the game is out there now. Like the entire game of Wolverine is leaked.
I still have that pulled up on my browser.
I mean, I don't
think
this is hyperbolic to say that what happened to Insomniac from these hackers may be the worst video game leak we've seen in our lifetimes. Maybe even like the GTA 6 leak was pretty big. By the way, that hacker got sentenced to a lifetime in hospital prison until he's deemed mentally fit to leave, which that's crazy. That's
hilarious.
Insane. Like
that's kind of sad. I'm not gonna lie, but
yeah. But am I wrong for thinking this might be the biggest video game leak ever in terms of like the severity of it?
So from my understanding, I think the only one that was comparable was Half-Life 2. Half-Life 2, the entire game got leaked, and the game wasn't finished. And this is almost 20 years ago. Sorry.
Yeah, 2 decades ago. This is our lifetime.
Yeah. So I would say this is probably. I mean, the thing is, there was no source code that got leaked, which I'm kind of surprised. There's no source. So yeah.
When it comes to discussing this leak, I kind of want to go in order because we've had discussion about how you want to cover this, and we are just going to talk about it. We're not going to show anything, but we're not. I mean, listen, leaks happen, and I want to make it very clear from all of us. none of us condone what happened to Insomniac. None of us support
Right.
what happened. None of us support the fact that the employees are being harmed this way. This is a very despicable thing, okay, what happened to them. But the information is out there, and we can't exactly ignore it. We're not going to show anything, and we're not going to participate in playing builds of the game like some people are doing, which that's stupid. Your IP addresses are being like the FBI is already on your asses if you're downloading those PC builds, and that's not me joking around. Like, I'm being serious. Like,
that's actually what's happening.
They
they're
don't
actually
understand
tracking
that when
people who are playing it.
When you download that slice, you are logging into their servers, which means they have you're leaving a trail of breadcrumbs to your front door.
Yeah, they know that you downloaded it and are playing it, is my point, you know? So anyway, we are going to talk about everything. So we're going to start by talking about Marvel's Wolverine, okay? So would anyone like to kind of take the lead on this and kind of walk us through everything? Because like,
since
there's
Braille's the one that brought all this to our
let me pull up,
like paint the picture for us about Marvel's Wolverine and what was leaked and everything that's happened, because I feel like it started with those small little gameplay videos.
Yes,
and it kind of blew up.
So 3 days ago, the first thing that was like leaked, at least on Reddit, was the test trailer for Wolverine, which was essentially what we saw in the 2021 trailer at that State of Play. But it was sort of like a look, like it wasn't completely rendered
it was
out.
basically like an unfinished version of that trailer.
Yes. So that was the first thing that leaked, and then that's when we started getting really big things, such as like the cast, right? So pretty much the entire cast, and I'm talking about who's voicing what character,
all the major characters in the game.
Yes. Now I mean, do we want to talk about the character? Because this was also.
No, I think we can. We can
just. Okay, we won't talk about what characters in there, but we'll say this: these characters, I think now that it's out there, it kind of makes sense that they're in this game. But at the same time, I think a lot of people just expected this to be just Wolverine and maybe like recounting his origin story.
And this does feel that way, but it also feels like it's connecting to the larger X-Men world as well.
Right. This is building their X-Men universe,
which we'll get to in a second, because it does tie into other leaks. Yeah.
Now, also too, as well, gameplay leaked, as well as like locations of the game, and this is where
concept art too.
Concept art, but in terms of the gameplay and the animation, this is where we started to learn more of how the game is going to play.
What does this game actually look like, and what does it play like? And it's not Spider-Man. That's the first thing I noted right away when watching it and looking at it when it got leaked on the internet. They are not doing Spider-Man again.
Although they do reuse animations from Spider-Man, I will say that.
Yeah, it's common though in development.
Yeah.
I mean, it's early development still.
Because that was something that was being commented on Twitter. A lot of people were saying that this game looks like Spider-Man or Batman, but it does not play like any of those games, at least the combat portion of it. Mm-hmm. I would describe it more as God of War 2018.
Yeah, it looks like God of War. It looks like God of War mixed with what's the other?
A lot of people say Uncharted because of there's also climbing segments.
Any PlayStation game from the past decade.
Pretty much, but I mean, to narrow it down, I would say it's a combination of God of War and Uncharted.
I would say mostly God of War, honestly. Like, this looks like the God of War system, the over-the-shoulder perspective, definitely leaning. It looks like a God of War style action game, like the reboot God of War, which I'm down for. I would just say this from what I saw from the gameplay, at least. It looked amazing. I mean, it looked like it's going to be a really solid game to me.
I would say I'm impressed. I mean, here's the thing.
Again, for an early version, I was impressed.
Yes.
It has exactly what I'm looking for in a Wolverine game. It's got the violence level. It's got the visceralness. It feels like a Wolverine game to me. Like, I'm like, okay, I'm seeing what they're cooking, and what they're cooking, I'm interested in tasting.
Have a button specifically designed so that I can call someone Bub anytime I want.
Yeah, maybe that'll be an option. And some others. So that was the big gameplay thing, at least. Was there anything else from that?
A lot of test footage, things like that. I'm just sort of looking at what got leaked in order. Now, also, just to transition a little bit off, because here's the thing. This game, I'll just say it's a new Ratchet and Clank game. This game there's not a lot of information on this, and that's because this game is not coming out for the next 6 to 7 years.
Yeah, and that's what we
So,
should clarify
yeah.
too, real quick. Like, not just Wolverine leaked, but basically Insomniac's plans for the next decade leaked. Like what they're working on, what they're planning, what they're striving for as a studio, and basically what Sony has planned.
I mean,
for them.
Right.
As far as like, I'll just say this as someone that wants to get into games, like it's beneficial at least to see like how far out these companies are planning what they're working on. Like it isn't just like every 4 or 5 years they have a meeting and like, okay, now that this is midway through development.
This is their business plan.
Yeah, this is their business.
Yes.
Yeah, this is their business plan.
But and that's also interesting too, because as we'll get into it, there's a lot of business behind things going on.
The financials are very interesting.
Licensing and things like that, which is also very interesting because I think in some ways, even though a lot of people are excited about Wolverine, I think there's also a lot of negative repercussions for PlayStation investing into these Marvel games. And there's a very specific reason of why they're doing it.
Licensing fees.
And well, it's not just the licensing fees, but I mean, there's a very specific reason why PlayStation has decided to really invest into these big IPs. And we'll get into that though.
Yeah, we're kind of seeing why PlayStation is investing so much in Marvel, especially when it comes to Insomniac. Yeah.
Right. So the next leak is pretty much all of their future projects, like leading. If we're going to segue.
So do we want to discuss what they are?
Yeah, we might as well, because there's not a lot of these things don't have concept art. There's nothing there. It's just a release window, which that could change.
Mm-hmm. So, I think we should start with mostly because it's semi.
Well, I'll go in order.
Yeah, we should just go in order of the release.
I'm gonna go in order. So it's already in chronological order.
Yeah, so this fall we had Spider-Man 2.
Yes.
And next up on their calendar list is what?
Next up, if we're gonna go in order, they have 3 free DLCs planned.
There you go. That's
Spider-Man 2.
That's what I wanted to start with.
Yeah. So
do we want to get into specifics of what they are or no?
I'll say this: if you've played the game, if others have, then I will just say it. Right. I won't go into too much detail because there's not even that much detail on it anyway. So the first DLC is a Beetle related DLC. So if you know the villain Beetle in Spider-Man, he's going to be a villain. We don't know to what extent. There's also a Carnage DLC, which again, don't know to what extent. And then there's also a Spider-Verse tie-in to the movies, specifically to the movies, which again, we don't know to what extent. And that is supposed to be all released throughout 2024, although in one of the PowerPoint presentations, it does say that one of the DLC was supposed to release this year after the release of Spider-Man.
And see, this is the problem with these leaks. It's hard to tell what's actually going to be released. What I mean is some stuff, it's hard to tell what's been canceled and what's actually coming to fruition, if that makes sense.
Right. Yes.
The Spider-Man DLC, I think it's going to come out. It's just, I don't know if this is something they planned before.
It might have been delayed because, as we know, there was supposed to be a patch that was going to add a lot of stuff to the game,
including a new game plus mode, which has been confirmed. So
and that got delayed. Yeah, that's coming out next year. So
I think that pushed everything back. But there's
by
also,
like 3 months. I would say by 3 months, everything got pushed back.
But connected to something else you'll talk about, you'll mention in just a moment, Braille. One of the DLCs may either be, I hope it's this first one, because this would make me feel better about what the story is supposed to be. But
and we might as well keep. Yeah, so the next game is
it's the game everyone was hoping for.
Yeah, is Marvel's Venom, which is slated for fall 2025. So that's 2 years after Marvel Spider-Man 2.
So we are getting a Venom spinoff game.
Yes.
Right.
So
now
what information about it leaked? What do we know about it?
Yeah. So what we know about this is that this is not a full game. This is sort of like a half sequel, which Sony themselves have mentioned that they will be doing in the future. So this is
like,
more
so
akin
like
to
Lost Legacy and Miles Morales.
yes. So this is going to cost maybe $50. Now, again, there's not a lot of details. No gameplay has leaked for this so far. It just says, and I guess we can sort of touch on this a little bit. It says that the villain is going to be Carnage, although Carnage is mentioned as a possible DLC for Spider-Man 2. So it's a little confusing.
Well, and this is why I wanted to interject right quick, because either it was canceled as Spider-Man 2 DLC and was just made the villain of the Carnage game, which I think that's the worst. That's the bad reality to live in. Because what I would love is kind of like what they did in the comic, where the DLC kind of starts off with Miles and Peter, and maybe even spoilers for Spider-Man 2, Silk. Maybe those three try to take on Carnage, but he is such a threat that they cannot stop him, and so it leads into them having Venom help them, which is what happened in the comics. Peter tricked Venom into thinking that he was dead, and so Eddie and the symbiote were living on this island, and Carnage happens. He's like, oh shit, I gotta go get Eddie because I can't beat this guy on my own. It also just makes Carnage
that's
feel
what
like
I was
a threat.
thinking. That's what I was thinking too, that maybe if they are still making this Carnage DLC for 2, it would be basically a lead into the Venom game.
I really want it to.
Right.
I really think that's the better narrative decision, especially since I personally had issues with the narrative of the game. I think that, like, I hope they do that. Basically, I hope that they do that instead of it just being a separate. Because, real quick, there's still 2 things from the game that do not have an answer for them, and I don't want them to be in 3. I want them to be DLCs just to wrap everything up from this game into a nice, pretty bow. But I guess we're not getting those.
Yeah, we'll have to see. Now the next game, after 2025, which this is pretty disappointing, is Marvel's Wolverine. So that is slated for fall 2026.
Which that is, I'll be honest, that's a bit surprising. If you remember, we talked about this a little bit earlier. This game was announced in 2021 at the PlayStation Showcase. This was announced. They announced this game before they announced Spider-Man 2 in the order of the trailers that they put out. So we were all thinking, because we've had a discussion, we all thought, okay, Wolverine's coming out 2024.
I honestly thought Wolverine would come out next year. Like, that's how soon this game was ready to go.
A lot of people thought that might be possible because, again, this was another team at Insomniac. Insomniac has a large...
It's the Miles Morales team.
Yes, well, the director, at least, on that game is working on it. So people thought... that this would make sense that they were working on the Wolverine game and it would come, because remember, Miles Morales came out 2020 November, and then Ratchet and Clank came out June 2021. So that's almost like a 6-7 months gap in between those games, which is pretty crazy to think about. But
Insomniac work ethic is crazy.
Yeah, so people thought that was possible, that we might get Wolverine next year. But again, a lot of people were thinking, okay, 2025, right? That sounds reasonable, right? But no, this is coming out 2026, which I have to be honest, and this is the one thing I was talking to RJ and Meta about, is why did they announce this game 5 years before it was going to come out, when PlayStation has admitted that they don't want to announce games that far out in advance?
I have 2 theories.
Okay, I'll let RJ say his 2 theories, and then I'll say my opinion.
Okay, my first theory is, 1, they wanted to push that PlayStation Showcase, because if you remember that PlayStation Showcase in 2021, it was a massive showcase of PlayStation Studios and like the brand. They showed God of War Ragnarok, Spider-Man 2, Wolverine, a bunch of stuff, bunch of
KOTOR
remake, everything, right? That showcase, maybe they pushed that announcement early for the sake of investors, because they wanted to appease investors and shareholders.
That's possible.
Second possibility is they thought this game was going to come out a lot sooner, but the game became much more ambitious than just a mid-size Miles Morales type project. It's ballooned into something much bigger because they have massive plans for the X-Men license, which we'll get into in a second. Mm-hmm. And it's caused the project to grow in size to where basically it's going to be a full-fledged game. Therefore, it's been delayed because they need more time to work on it, because it's going to be basically like a really big next venture for them. So
I
the
really could
game's
see it being a
expanded
little bit of
size,
column
it's
A, a
been
little bit of
delayed.
column B.
I
Yeah,
think,
that could
yeah,
be possible.
it could
I
be a little
think
mix of both.
I think yeah, they messed up by either announcing this way too soon or they did this intentionally because, to be honest, and this is the theory that I've had, is that in the next 2 years, PlayStation first party wise does not have a lot going on. And so they were really banking on Wolverine to come out within those 2 years. And there's a lot also too in this in these leaks that suggest that potentially the Marvel license is also doing something with these release schedules, that they have to have a succession of games come out within 3 years. So I'm not sure if that plays into that, but
It could. And
Is that like wait, when you say that, you mean like the Marvel license is expecting games to come out or things to come out
they're
at that rate, or is
they're
it like
that's I think that's what
Well,
PlayStation and Marvel have
Mhm.
agreed upon, or that
Okay,
they
okay.
Well, I was going to mention, look at the outside of Miles Morales, which was a console launch game. Look at the two main Spider-Man games. Kind of some corporate synergy with Sony and Sony Pictures, because 2018 Spider-Man came out, same year Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse came out.
right.
2023
Into the Spider-Verse.
Sorry, Into the Spider-Verse. Yes, thank you for correcting me. And then 2023 we had Spider-Man 2.
Didn't Homecoming happen too?
That was 2017.
17.
Okay,
Well,
okay.
Yeah,
My
2020 there was no Spider-Man movie. Although if the pandemic hadn't have happened, then maybe No Way Home would have came out in 2020. So something to think about. But it does seem like Sony likes to plan these games and movies to come out close in proximity for corporate synergy a bit. So there could be something with that with the Marvel licensing as well.
Yeah, we don't know anything. Here's the thing. There's a lot of stuff about the licensing in terms of like what characters they can use. Like there's actually a list of characters that Insomniac can use, which is very interesting. I'll say this, I don't want to go so much into detail. There are characters that are not related to both X-Men and Spider-Man that they can use, but it's very limited. So that's the reason why you probably, like, we will definitely not see Captain America or Iron Man ever appear in these games. Those characters they do not have the license to.
Right.
But if you've been paying attention to the Spider-Man games, you kind of get a feeling of who can show up.
Right. But
who
which
might...
is also weird too, because I think another character that is not there is Doctor Strange, which again, if you play Spider-Man 2, that's a little bit weird.
Okay, my bad then. I didn't know. I was segueing thinking Doctor Strange was on the list.
No, not that I've seen. I looked through, and the only characters that I'll just say it, it's Daredevil and Jessica Jones.
The street
and
level
I believe Iron Fist, yes.
Okay, so street level.
But no, I didn't see Luke Cage. Luke Cage was not there. So
racist.
Yeah, that's racist.
No,
yeah,
man,
so,
get my boy in there. Get my boy in there.
Yeah, because they own the license to Spider-Man. They can use all the characters within the Spider-Man license, and also X-Men. So now the next game that's coming after Wolverine is Marvel Spider-Man 3 for fall 2028. Now, this is also another weird one because
I saw a lot of people talking about this with these leaks.
Yeah. So this is another thing in one of the presentations. Again, trying not to go into too much detail, but the leaks also suggest that this game is actually 2 games. That we'll be getting Spider-Man 3 1 year, that's like part 1, and then another the next year we would get a part 2.
So you're basically splitting the game in half.
Yes.
Yeah. Which very weird strat. Like it's basically gonna be like Infinity War and Endgame, kind of, or like
Which, by the way,
Across Spider-Verse Part 1 and Part 2. Or
yes. By the way, here's the thing. This is actually very interesting because we technically knew about this without knowing about this. Because the director of Spider-Man 2 said that he said Spider-Man. Yes, he said Spider-Man 1 is like Iron Man, and he said Spider-Man 2 is like Civil War. And he said you can expect the next game to be like, another big. Yeah, he didn't say Infinity War and Endgame, but he said you could pretty much expect what the next step of the series is going
And
to be.
if you're an MCU fan, you know Civil War led into Infinity War and Endgame, that two-parter. So that is interesting.
Yeah.
How do we feel about
Can,
that though? If that ends up being the case, if they split Spider-Man 3 into two parts.
I just want to know what the storyline would be.
Well, we can get into that in just a moment. I wanted to talk about this because even though I'm not the biggest fan of talking about financials, the budget for Spider-Man 2 was $315 million.
Oh yeah, can we save that, because that's a whole nother discussion.
I feel like this is relevant now because I don't know if y'all saw this or not. But Sony told Insomniac they want them to even though the game was a success, they want them to decrease their budget for these games.
Right. Yeah. That because that's why I wanted to save that, because there's a lot of information on that itself about that.
Well, I just wanted to mention it. I guess I wanted to mention it. Now we can get into it in just a second, but I wanted to mention it because it's like, so you're expecting this studio to split this game up, and we can talk about what I'm about to say also in a bit too. But the theory with this game is that it's going to be split up into two parts. Otto is probably going to be the first villain. Goblin's going to be the second villain. And you're expecting them to decrease their budget for this game that's going to be split in two, which doesn't happen in games. And you're also thinking of collectively making the game $100. Which again,
at that point, it would be. Yeah, this game is not coming out for the PS5. I don't believe this is coming.
No, it'll be a PS6. It'll be PS6.
This sounds like a PS6 game title. We'll see, because like I said, everything is getting pushed back. So this fall 2028, this could easily be more like 2 years, right? Because also too, the development for these games are taking much longer than they're anticipating, and that's one of the reasons. This is why I was saying if we could save that part, because one of the reasons why the budget is so high is because of how long in development these games are, right? And Sony basically was comparing the games that they had, that took a while, right? Like The Last of Us Part 2, Horizon Forbidden West, and God of War Ragnarok. Those games were in development for roughly 4 to 5 years. And they were roughly around $200 million. And even though Sony is going to make back that money, it's still way too much money for a game. And Spider-Man 1 cost pretty much, I think, Spider-Man 2 budget basically almost tripled, right? So
it was more.
Wait. We're saying that Spider-Man 2 was triple the budget of the first game?
Yes. The first game did not cost $200 million to make. It was more like $100 million.
And then
there's no stat on that from what I can see.
And we jumped to the sequel, and that cost $315 million.
Yes.
Wow.
And Miles Morales, it had a budget. Miles Morales had a budget of $156 million and made 22. I mean, had a budget of $156 million and made back $260 million.
I also saw, funny enough, that for these financial receipts, that apparently the Spider-Man remaster for PS5 had a budget of $40 million.
That's crazy to me for just
that is crazy. Yeah, it's crazy.
But that's we could have a bigger discussion on like the budgets for these AAA games and that whole AAA game discussion.
Because that is a big talking point, because again, this got leaked in the documents, and a lot of people are saying, hey, this is very ironic because Sean Layton, the previous CEO of PlayStation or Sony Entertainment, has been saying that this would be one of the downfalls of AAA gaming, is that they have these crazy budgets and they can't make them back. Which this is even worse than what's happening in the movie industry.
I was gonna say this does seem very similar to what's happening in the movie industry right now.
I mean, because the article that I saved with the budget number on it says it costs more to make Spider-Man 2 the game than any Spider-Man film. Yeah. Any of them. So from 2002 all the way to Across the Spider-Verse. All those were nowhere near as much to make as this game. And
here's insane. The thing. Here's the thing. As those movies will probably make more money in the long term than Spider-Man 2 and the first game. So that's the reason why these budgets are a little bit crazy once you think about it.
It's unsustainable.
Yeah, it's not sustainable. If you're basically putting $200 million into a game and only getting 100 million back in profit. Like, what's the point? I don't really understand, right? That may seem like a lot of money to us regular folks, but still, that doesn't. And the thing is, like, PlayStation, their whole reasoning behind doing this is because, well, they're going to make back, they're going to make much more money, and they can absorb the cost because they have the digital storefront, and that's where they're making their money, right? We all know that these consoles are not making the money. Every time they sell a console, they're actually losing a bit of money. Yeah. And
So
that's the thing that people have to understand.
That was the whole point of why you make console exclusives. You're trying to push hardware, but you're also trying to push software on your store.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. Which at this point now I don't. And here's the thing too. Not to I jumping all over the place, but this kind of connects. We're starting to see that PlayStation is now strategizing about expanding out of the console business.
Yeah,
and I won't go into that. We could talk about that or not talk about that.
And we also were seeing that at least during the Jim Ryan era, they were pivoting a lot of their studios to try and focus on live service games. One of the things that I forgot to mention as a topic too, that kind of ties into that, is that The Last of Us online game, the Factions game, was canceled. So maybe we're seeing that Sony's trying to pivot away from live service, but at the same time, they got to find a way to make more and more money.
Well, they're trying to not go in as hard on live service. They're still going to have live service games. Like, I mean, do we want to talk about the canceled game that Insomniac made?
This makes sense because this is not a game that's coming out. This was a game that was supposed to come out.
They were thinking about making.
Yeah, this is something that they were thinking of doing, which was a basically a multiplayer mode for Spider-Man 2 or Spider-Man 3, and it would have come out in between those games, and it was called Spider-Man: The Great Web, which they describe as a GTA Online meets Marvel Spider-Man, where you're basically playing Marvel Spider-Man with friends, and you're teaming up to fight bosses and doing sort of like taking down enemy bases and doing raids, things like that.
It's basically like a multiplayer mode with the side activities and boss fights.
Yes.
Yeah. And the villains would have been I keep forgetting.
Well, those were concept art, but we saw things like Mysterio.
It would have been all the villains that we've seen before, basically.
Yeah, Sandman mixed with Venom. Yeah, a lot of the villains that we've seen before, but also too, they were going to have seasons, so we'll probably have seen other villains. It's just that's not in the league.
Probably in cosmetics and all that.
Yeah,
and
all those
things. Spider
people. Yeah, there's all these different Spider people. You could play as Spider-Gwen, Silk. There's also Miguel. Yeah, there's a lot of and there's a lot of concept art for that multiplayer game as well.
But it does seem like this has been canceled. They are not making this anymore.
Yeah, they're not making this anymore. We don't know why. I have some theories why.
It may be tied into the same reason Naughty Dog canceled The Last of Us multiplayer. That's what I was about to say.
That's what I'm thinking. Yeah, because... And now this is also another thing too, I should say. This is not canceled. We don't know anything about this, but they're also planning a online mode for Wolverine. Now, we don't know anything about it because it's too far.
I saw a rumor that this may be similar to the Ghost of Tsushima online mode, where it's kind of like a co-op mode or something.
Yeah, that's not in the leaks at all, so I don't know about any of that. It just says that the Wolverine Online is slated for after 2026. And in between
post-launch update.
Yeah. So they clearly have not started working on that because there's no information besides a slide that says this. Now also to, I guess again the release, going back to the release window. So the next game that's coming out after Spider-Man 3, that's official, that's actually going to happen, is a Ratchet and Clank game, which if you look through some of the slides, there's also a script, like parts of the script out there, which is pretty crazy. But this game is described as like a Breath of the Wild meets Ratchet and Clank. Now, is that what's going to happen? I don't know. It's just concept art.
Pause real quick. So we're all assuming this means that Ratchet and Clank, the next game will be like a PS6 title, right?
Yeah, this sounds like a PS6 title. Yes,
there's always a Ratchet and Clank game every generation. Yeah, every generation there's been a Ratchet and Clank game for PlayStation.
Okay, that's what I was assuming too. It does seem like, I could be wrong, it does seem like it's continuing the story from Rift Apart.
Real quick.
Yes and no.
Did you
It's not
see?
clear.
Did you see the update that actually Rift Apart was profitable?
Yeah,
I did post
there
that.
was like
I
some
posted
debate
that,
about
yeah.
whether or not that game was profitable or not based on these leaks. But yeah, it did turn out the game was profitable. Yeah, which that's a good
mean,
thing. So it was a good game.
Profitable, but by how much? I didn't. It just says that it's profitable. We'll get into that. We'll get into that because that's another weird stuff going on. But
Well, I just saw a lot of people were retracting their statements that it wasn't profitable because that information came out, and I didn't know. If
yes,
you received it or not.
let's put it this way: it was profitable, but it's not like they made a bunch of profit off of this, right? It's still kind of like, yeah,
It broke
could
even
have.
and made them a little bit of money.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
pretty much it. Yeah.
Well-
So then the next game, and this is obviously a big one. This is the one a lot of people didn't expect, and that is that Insomniac is going to be working on a X-Men game for fall 2030. Now that is quite ways off.
That's huge. That's huge.
Yes. And we've seen, without going into the leaks for Wolverine, but you can pretty much see that they're pretty much building that idea out, right?
It seems like pretty much what happened is Spider-Man 3 is the end of their Spider stuff. Now they're transitioning over to X-Men.
Yeah.
Which,
but in terms of like how they're actually designing the games, like you can actually see they're designing for the future. If you actually look through these leaks there. So this is probably how Insomniac is able to pump out these games so quickly, is that they're actually thinking long term and they're developing mechanics so they can sort of, can always be around, right? And when they make the next game, they'll just take those same foundations and put it in the new game.
And you can see that with Wolverine. Again, no spoilers, but you can see that already.
No spoilers, but yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the last thing, or the second last thing, is a new IP, which is slated for 2031 or 2032. And then after that, they pretty much say X-Men 2 and 3, which who knows when those games will come out.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's their release schedule, which obviously I think a lot of people were excited by that. A lot of people were disappointed too, you could say, because I mean,
they're basically becoming a Marvel studio.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which I understand that, but when you look in the financial things, like these Marvel games are making Sony a lot of money. A lot.
I guess that's the next thing we should get into.
The licensing agreements that they made with Marvel.
The licensing, the business side of it.
Yeah, it does seem like basically Insomniac and Sony have worked out a deal with Marvel to produce X-Men games, which makes sense because by the time we hit 2030, the MCU X-Men will be on the board after Secret Wars and everything else we get into.
And depending on if you believe the leaks for the movies, a certain villain that is tied to this game is also supposed to be in the MCU.
Yeah. Now, I don't know if that, not to sidetrack because that's a movie topic, but I don't know how much if I believe that rumor, because that rumor came out right when these leaks came out, and it seemed like someone was like, oh yeah, if they're doing it in the game, they're probably going to do it in the movie. That's how I felt.
But at the same time, Marvel has been hell bent on brand synergy. Not with everything, but with the majority of stuff, especially when it comes to Spider-Man. I mean, hell, even Guardians of the Galaxy, the game, which I still love, that's my favorite version, you can still see Gunn's influence on the Guardians.
Well, of course, because, I mean, that's the reason why they're popular. I was going to
mention, too, the person who leaked the movie stuff, they bat an average of like 70-30. So I would say, like, there's something to this, I feel like it does.
Yeah. I mean, he does have a good track record. I'm remembering now who it was, but yes. But still, I just felt like it was like the timing on it was a little bit weird, but we'll see. I'm not saying it can't happen, just a little bit weird coincidence.
So real quick, I didn't get a chance to look at like the licensing agreement they have with Marvel in terms of the financial things, but it does seem like Sony makes some money, but Marvel's definitely making some cheddar off of this too.
Well, I don't even know. I have it here. I don't know if I really want to read it out completely.
I have a question. Just I don't know if it says it on there or not. When is this set to expire?
So yeah, I could say that. I don't know if we're allowed to say any of this stuff without getting in trouble, but I don't care at this point. So it says that the exclusivity is between now and December 31st, 2035.
And when was the last Insomniac Marvel game on their list? When does that supposedly come out?
It doesn't go that far.
Basically, it seems like after the X-Men game, they'd have to renew the contract, the first
Yeah.
X-Men game.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah,
makes
but
sense,
this-
because that's probably why they have tentatively, like, they have an idea they want to do 2 X-Men sequels.
But here's the thing, right? Looking at this and looking at the royalties of what PlayStation owes Marvel, this is pretty crazy. The percentage, especially on hardware bundles, like pretty much every time, and this, let's just say this number also applies to Spider-Man 2, right? Or Spider-Man in general. Marvel is pretty much making 50% off of every time someone buys a bundle with Spider-Man. That's pretty crazy. Like, I don't really
so wait, hold on.
understand.
When we say bundle, we're talking about console bundle.
Yes, console bundles.
So
yes.
not game bundle, console bundle.
Console bundles, yes. So Marvel is taking 50% of how much is the PS5 on in the US?
So,
500?
So the Spider-Man 2 bundle for PS5, that's the new version with the Slim.
Yes.
It costs $500 without
Yes.
tax.
So 50% of that goes to Marvel. So that's what I'm saying. And also the digital sales there a lot, and physical is a lot less. Digital is like, I think the highest is, it says 18. Physical 25%, and then DLC is almost close to 30%. So this is a little bit strange. I get it. Like, these are big brands and stuff. But when a game, this is what's, I don't understand. If the game costs almost 200 million to make, PlayStation really isn't making a lot of money off of this at the end of the day, right? Like, if they sell what, let's say 15 million units in its lifetime,
They're getting more off the consoles then, aren't they? When it comes to these bundles and stuff, since Marvel's making more money off the actual.
Well, say that again.
So wait, so like from what I heard you say, like Marvel's making more money off of this deal than Sony is, correct?
Yes.
So
they're making a lot of money off of PlayStation.
So are Sony supposed to recoup the loss with the consoles then, since they are the ones that own the consoles? Even though we just said the consoles aren't where they make the money.
I think the only way that this makes sense is that PlayStation's willing to do this because the software and digital store makes so much money, which again plays into another slide about this, because this was another thing that was going around, which was pretty much a PowerPoint presentation talking about Sony's concerns about Xbox. And as you know, Xbox has now acquired Activision.
Yes, I'm glad you mentioned that. So I want some So I think we should clarify this. There were rumors, and there was people saying like a lot of the Sony influencers were saying that this was a fake slide. But a lot of the Xbox,
I would call these people the ponies who were saying that. The ponies were saying
it.
And the Xbox were losing their mind, saying, "Oh my god!" So is this real? Was that slide real?
This is real. This is real. I don't know why that rumor went around saying it was fake. This is real. This came from the file, so I don't.
The data leak.
Yeah, I don't really understand why people were saying that this was fake.
I saw something that said that because of Xbox, they're wanting to tighten their exclusivity with Final Fantasy, because JRPGs are where they make a lot of money also, and Xbox is now getting better with JRPG partnerships.
And they just recently started working with Square again to bring Final Fantasy 14 to Xbox finally.
Yeah. And so, like, PlayStation's trying to tighten their hold. They may just end up acquiring Square at this point.
Wouldn't shock me. It's been rumored forever.
But anyway, bro, is that the type of stuff that was mentioned in that slide?
This slide. So I have the slide here. It pretty much says that, you know, because Activision is now owned by Microsoft, the next generation of consoles is going to be under threat, because now Microsoft can pretty much do what they want with the Call of Duty brand and games, and that's a huge disruption to how Sony makes money. Because you have to remember, Sony is making so much money off of Call of Duty in terms of the sales, digital wise, the physical sales,
Yeah.
and then also too, remember people are buying PlayStation Plus to play Call of Duty. So this is sort of like, oh crap, if
It wasn't bullshit when they said that it would harm their
Yeah.
ecosystem if they bought this.
that
wasn't
was not a
bullshit.
lie. That was not a lie. That was them. They had to have done that. They had to defend themselves because Call of Duty for the last 10 years has pretty much been predominantly PlayStation, despite, in the past it was mostly Xbox, but now it's on PlayStation and it makes a lot of money on PlayStation. And PlayStation does not have a competitor, and they don't really have, and there's no other competitor to Call of Duty. Let's be honest. Battlefield is not Call of Duty, even
Battlefield's
was at its
fallen
height.
off. Yeah, Battlefield's fallen off tremendously.
But even at its height, it's still not Call of Duty, right?
No.
So there's really no competitor that is putting out these games yearly and has the free to play games and all that stuff.
And I mean,
So,
people have been trying to say, and even I have said that PlayStation has the IPs. It would never be as big as COD. However, they do have IPs like SOCOM. People have been begging for Sony to bring back SOCOM, and they are willing to.
And they probably will never bring back SOCOM. By the way, this
what
pretty
I'm saying
much
is, like,
confirms that.
Well, what I'm saying is they have the IPs.
Yeah.
They have the IPs to create their own first-person shooter type games to.
But I think
to at least sustain themselves.
Here's the thing about that, though. We know that's possible. They have studios that can definitely do that. They're trying to make studios that do that. But let's be honest. There's clones of Call of Duty, and they're still not successful, right? The only thing that is really could be a Call of Duty that Sony has is now under threat, which is Destiny. And Destiny and Bungie, that's a whole nother topic because that's not
Bungie's a mess right now. Bungie's
that's a whole nother conversation. Yeah, this to me, if there's one thing I would say is that the business of PlayStation, even though we're only knowing it on the Insomniac side, I would say that this is it's not looking good for PlayStation. Let's be honest. They're focusing heavily on Marvel stuff, which is cool for us because we like Marvel. Right,
but they're doing overall, their overall.
They need
strategy.
more original IPs.
Yeah,
this is what I've been saying.
Well, original IPs. It's not more heavy hitters. Honestly, we've been talking about this forever. When it comes to the game industry, go back to even our first episode. We talk about the overall state of gaming. You're going to see a lot more acquisitions, a lot more consolidation, just like you're seeing in the movie industry with a bunch of studios.
Yep. And hell, there was a big reveal
news
yesterday.
Yeah, about Warner Brothers and Paramount.
We'll see if they'll allow that, because I don't know if that's allowed.
From what I was reading, the regulators are going to have no issue with it. Surprisingly.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah, if it was Universal, the regulators would have issues with that because of the NBC, the news media angle with NBC and Universal, NBC, CNN, and CBS. Yeah, all that, whatever.
Oh boy.
But when it comes to gaming, I mean, we've been hearing rumors forever that EA wants to be bought out by somebody, or Square Enix, Ubisoft. You're gonna see don't be surprised if PlayStation's we gotta buy our own Activision. They buy an EA or an Ubisoft or
and
Square
I've
Enix.
been saying,
well, can they really afford it though? That's the thing. Can PlayStation?
That's another question too.
Yeah,
Sony. This is the thing, right? This is going to be the turning point. It's going to be when Sony decides we're going to have to, as a large corporation, we're going to have to now shift to more gaming, which Sony is currently not doing. Remember, they're still in the electronic business. They're still doing the movie stuff, and PlayStation is just so happens to be their best subsidiary, right? That's their one that's making that's the one that's making the most money. Now, I just, to be honest, I think this is not looking great. The games I don't have a problem with, right? And this is only just Insomniac, but this to me says that the gaming industry, at least Microsoft and Sony, they want to make a lot of money quickly on these big games, right? And they know that the big games are going to sell, and so they decided, you know what, we're not going to make mid-tier games, we're not going to invest in indie games or things like that on our own, right? And publish it as a first party. We're only going to do these AAA games. And the result is now they can't even make money, because in order to get that quality, you're going to have to put in a lot of money. You're going to have to pay a lot of these people, these talents, right?
Big investment, big
Yeah.
return.
Yeah, and then it's also going to take years. So there's a lot. This is not making a movie, right? You can make a $200 million movie in a year. You can't do the same with a game.
I have the Jason Schreier code. He said video game production cycles have gotten so long that a big budget game studio started working on a brand new project today, it would likely be for the PlayStation 6.
Yes, that's a massive problem. Why? And the thing is, I'm not gonna blame the corporations. I'm gonna blame the gamers, the people who are playing these games.
Ooh, blaming the consumer. Ooh,
I'm going to
Braille.
blame. This is my hot take, because as much as I love PlayStation, I defend The Last of Us Part 2. I know you guys don't like The Last of Us Part 2, but I like Ghost.
I don't hate. We'll have that conversation. I don't hate it.
It's a controversial game. I get that. I get it's a controversial game, but I like The Last of Us Part 2. I like Ghost of Tsushima. I liked Uncharted. I liked the first Spider-Man game. God of War. I didn't finish it, but it's still. I played enough of it to know. It's a decent game.
Don't do that.
And even though I don't like Horizon, it's still a beautiful looking game. So yeah, these games. The problem is these games sold a fair amount. People love these games, and now the expectation is every new game from PlayStation should be like those games.
Well, is it really the consumers? Is it really the consumer's fault for doing that, or is it the people that presented the game? Well, I mean, they're the ones that made the game that way. So it's like, oh, so this is the standard that you're going to go with from now on. Like,
well, it's a cycle. That's what I'm saying. The consumers expect it. The developers expect it. PlayStation expects it. They're like, hey, why aren't you making more games like The Last of Us? And not only that, they're doing it because they can also now make movies and shows too. This is all a business strategy that, so far, it's successful. But is it sustainable? That's the thing. Is it sustainable? Yeah. I don't think so. I think we're going to get, in the next 2 years, we probably won't even get games from PlayStation first party. That's my prediction.
I think this is this is the bigger topic of AAA gaming. I think we've gotten into talking about the AAA gaming bubble, which, again, I really would love to talk about. It's probably not going to be the crux of the next episode, but an episode after that, I would love to talk about the AAA gaming bubble, because even what we saw at this past Game Awards kind of shows what you're talking about, Braille, and where the AAA gaming is going.
Yeah, like a YouTuber we like named Arlo made a great video about it that maybe we should cover.
I think we absolutely should cover that.
Because I feel like the conversation we're having now stems into a larger conversation we can have in the future, because there's a lot that
this is an ongoing thing.
It's an ongoing thing,
But it's just that these leaks, and another thing that really just came out, I'll just say this, is that they want to move PlayStation Plus to mobile, PC, and smart TVs, which is basically what Game Pass is doing.
But okay, PlayStation, sure.
Yeah, but you're going to see that. You're going to see a lot of people do that. They're
going to have to.
Well, here's the thing.
Doesn't mean it's going to be profitable.
It's the last thing I'll say.
They're going to have to still.
This is the last thing I'll say before we move on to the final part of the conversation about the leaks. This is why Nintendo, for all their faults, and you got to give it to Nintendo. At least they're still trying to stick to the traditional gaming thing, and they're not doing. They know their limits. You know what I mean? They're not pushing this. They're AAA, but not really. I don't know. Nintendo's a weird company, but I'm glad.
Yeah, that's. I don't want to keep going on and on or talking too long, but because you mentioned Nintendo, and because we did have a very similar conversation before, this is something for people to think about, right? Nintendo is making games cheaper than these PlayStation games, and then they're making not just double but triple the amount on sales, right? When you look at something like Breath of the Wild outsold both Spider-Man Miles Morales and the first game combined.
And look at Tears of the Kingdom, which came out this year too.
Exactly. In that conversation, bro, I even compared the budget and return of the first Zelda game and Ragnarok.
Yeah.
And prove your point.
Yes. So this, to me, this is what I'm saying, that the industry this seems like a Western problem. I mean, there is Square Enix. Square Enix is
yeah,
a different
aside from
conversation.
Square
aside from
Enix, yeah, Square Enix spends a
Yeah.
lot of
Square
money
is
on
the
their
Eastern.
games.
Square is the Eastern developer that wants to be Western so bad.
Yeah, so this is very interesting what the Western businesses versus the Eastern businesses, what they're doing in the gaming industry and how they're making money and how they're developing and designing these games. I think is all very interesting. And I don't want to wish like, okay, another company gets hacked for us to know all these business insider stuff. But I kind of wish we knew more about this information because for me it's very interesting and I also think it's very telling. And I think if the population or the public or the fan base or the community knows more, maybe it may sway us into buying certain things. And even though, yes, this is a hobby, this is
Basically,
just
like
entertainment.
more game companies have like business meetings where they talk about like how things are going with each game and all
Right.
that stuff. Kind of.
I mean, you would have to be an investor at that point.
Well,
right?
but I mean, like Embracer does that. Despite all of their flaws, Embracer releases all of their information from their quarterly earnings meetings. It's
Right.
public information. So I think I wish there was more transparency in gaming not like don't tell us everything that's happening at all the times, but like
right.
But yeah, like again, it's a bigger topic, but one that I would very much like to talk about. But yeah, Nintendo is but Nintendo is also at the same time doing what Sony's trying to do, which is have their cake and eat it too, while going into other avenues with movies and shows and stuff with their IPs. But again, we can talk about all of that another day.
Yeah. And that transitions us, folks, into our last little bit of the conversation. That's about the media and their coverage of these leaks. It's been an ongoing issue. And a lot of the media pundits, a lot of the big people, they kind of don't want to talk about these leaks, right? And because it makes sense. We talk about this at the top of the show, the issue of the leaks in terms of the employees and the harm it does to the employees, which we all agree is horrendous, right?
It is horrendous.
So, but one of the things that kind of kickstarted this overall conversation and controversy we're seeing is how Kind of Funny responded to the Insomniac leaks. So I'm going to play the clip of Greg Miller.
It is kind of funny.
Yeah, we'll get into it. We'll give our thoughts in a second. But this is how Kind of Funny responded to the Insomniac leaks.
Hello, everyone. It's me, Greg Miller from Kind of Funny Games. And if you didn't know, Insomniac was held ransom by some cyber hackers, the types, you know what I mean, saying that they wanted $2 million or they'd release a whole bunch of Insomniac files. And they did that. Insomniac did not give them the money. The hackers released the files, and now the internet is in flames as all sorts of information about Wolverine, Insomniac, personal data of the developers, and so much more is floating around. This has led to a giant conversation about how this should be handled in reporting video game news. I wanted to come to you and talk to you about how we'll approach it on Kind of Funny Games Daily today. Today, we will not go into the details of this leak. We will instead talk about the human component. All the developers at Insomniac who just had years and years of work published when it was not ready to be seen, information published when it was not ready to be seen, contracts published when they were not ready to be talked about, and of course, their own personal information shared against their will. This is an invasion of their privacy, done in one of the most malicious ways possible. So today on Games Daily, we will focus on the human element of this. Of course, going forward in the years to come, there will be references to this information because it is out there in the public sphere. But we don't think it's newsworthy today when so many people, actual human beings, are in a lot of pain. So that's how we're going to do it today on Games Daily.
Yeah, this.
Okay,
there's so many different things to say.
There's a couple things I want to bring up here. Okay, first off, I have no issue with Greg Miller or Kind of Funny. I actually like their channel, but
no, fuck them.
This is a live stream they had the day before. Can you guys see the screen?
I can't. Yes. Oh, wait, what's that one right there, RJ? What's that?
Suicide Squad Killer Justice League story spoilers leak.
Huh. It's almost as if everything he said was hypocrisy, and it's also because they get interviews with Brian Intihar and Insomniac, and I don't think they've done that with Rockstar.
Now, and there's another thing I have to bring up, because people were talking about this. They're like, it's Kind of Funny impartial when they had a major cameo.
Yes. This is also a great point. I completely forgot about this. Yeah.
You remember both Greg Miller and Blessing, they have like this joke about the shirtless Spider-Man. The shirtless Spider-Man, Kind of Funny, made a cameo in the game as one of the photo ops that you have to collect.
Right.
It's almost as if they are. Wait, I can't say this
You
word.
want
but
to
I'm gonna
say
say
the
it anyway.
word? You want to
Paid
say the
chills.
bought and paid shills?
Here's the thing, right? And we're seeing this a lot with the. This is my take, and I'll let you guys go because I know you guys have a lot to say. This is my take. It is very odd to me that post the Capcom leaks and the Rocksteady leaks, that now is when the games media decides to take a stand against leaks. When in the past they had no issue discussing leaks when it came to Nintendo, when it came to Nintendo Directs, when it comes
They're
to
white
Capcom.
knighting
Well,
and
they
circling the
talked-
wagons.
Didn't they talk
I'm just
about
gonna say
Naughty
this real
Dog's
quick.
leaks?
Some of them did, yeah. But here's
Yeah.
my point, though. A lot of the coverage of these leaks, now people are responding to it in the games media, reeks of being very biased when it comes to Western developers versus Japanese developers. I feel like they don't treat it the same because they have more of a connection with the Western developers personally than they do these Japanese developers.
Right.
Because with the Capcom leaks, there was also personal information that got out, if you remember.
Right.
Yeah, it's
And no one seemed to really cover that the same way they're covering this Insomniac stuff about being so anti-leak coverage and even talking about it.
There's a,
Right.
and he's not
And
wrong.
I'm going
but
to be
it's the way
honest.
that-
I'm going to be honest. It comes like I'm not saying that they are, but it's coming off across a little bit like racism.
Right. I think it's
I'm not saying
more-
I'm not saying it's intentional.
Right.
I'm just saying that I think games media there's a little bit of a racist.
I will.
It does
against
seem like
against
that.
Japan
Yes.
and Japanese developers.
I will because
and the way they
media in
cover those
general-
games.
I will, and I'll even make an even more blanket statement. Media in general has shown racism in ways that they don't even notice, but they do with how they cover certain
Right.
events and certain issues that happen in society. I won't go into detail about those, but if you watch your local mainstream news, you will see the difference between two conflicts that are currently happening and how they talk about the people inflicted.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
attack.
these.
So
It's always. I mean, I think RJ even said it. It's the fact that this is a lot more personal to them, and that's why they're covering it that way. And I understand that, even though we were saying they're bought and paid shills, right? But I just, to me, I find it a little bit disingenuous, right? I think this is virtue signaling, right? And I
It
know a
is.
lot of people don't like that term and it gets thrown around so much, but this is, hey, I'm going to stand on my soapbox and say, everybody talking about the leak, you guys are wrong. And
just
as
like
if
another
there's not a
YouTuber
way-
talked about the Rocksteady leaks.
yeah, as if there's not, because here's the thing, there's newsworthy things in that leak. That whole business side, I think that's newsworthy. I think that's actually relevant. But also too, how can you be okay with saying that, but then, in a couple of weeks when Jason Schreier has an article, you're going to talk about that. So I don't understand. Like, Jason Schreier sometimes, I mean, he's not going to do this, right?
No,
but he
no,
covers
no.
leaks. He goes and talks to developers who sometimes they can't speak because they have NDAs, right? There's all different types of stuff. I think to say leaks are not newsworthy, or like, now there's also a lot of people on Twitter, and it's a lot of these fanboys, these stans, and I can't stand these people, but
the ponies and
it's
bots
not
are out in
ponies. It's
force.
not even ponies. There's a lot of people who are like, these I've seen a lot of people with Spider-Man profile pictures go, you know what, if they canceled Wolverine, it's deserved.
I saw you
it's
quote
okay.
tweet. I saw you quote tweet someone. I saw you quote tweet.
And it's like, are you serious? Like, now there's this narrative of, oh, maybe we should cancel Wolverine. Listen, if they cancel Wolverine, I'll be shocked. I will be shocked, because why would you invest all this money? You jeopardize your licensing. There's all this business stuff. They have to carry through it with it. They're going to make money regardless.
Bro, they don't look at it through a lens of business. They look at it through a thing of like, well, they shouldn't have done this then, and it's the right thing to do. And it's like, no, you dumbass, you can't do morality in business like that. There's a reason why those two things are unfortunately separate, is because if you do that, that's a big investment gone.
Right. And the thing is, like, then you also have people going like, oh, they should cancel it just because there's people out there playing the game. Listen. The thing that
people will be dealt with in a court of law.
Yes, those people are legally they're gonna be taken care of. And secondly, the game has not been leaked. Okay, the full game has not been leaked. What has been leaked is a vertical slice of the game, which is basically a first off, it's gonna be janky. It's gonna be buggy because it's literally just to show the concept of the game. No one is actually playing the game,
It's no
right? The
different
game
than what
is not
happened, with
done.
KOTOR.
Yes, it's not done. They do this, a vertical slice. If you go and look at what the vertical slice is, because there's footage of it,
It's a presentation.
that's not what the game. Yeah, the UI is not there. The models look janky. The game is not finished. You're not playing the game. Yeah, they might lose money on this because there's a build of the game, but as far as I know, there's no source code, which I think would be a lot more devastating if there. That I would say it. That would actually be like a legitimate reason to be like, oh, maybe they might have to restart, right? Maybe they have to do something because now you have the source code out there. That there's a lot of problems when a game's source code gets leaked, right? So that so far hasn't happened, and if it does happen, I'm sure. First off, there's people literally going into their system and taking the vertical slice, right? And this is how they're able to fucking take
Back 'em.
these legal actions against these people, right? Copyright claim them, right?
You're leading a trail of crumbs to your house, literally.
Yeah. So I'm like, when I see people say this stuff, it just frustrates me, even though, yeah, I know it's a little bit of ignorance on their part and they probably don't know all the details, so I'll have to give them the benefit of doubt, but still, it's just a ridiculous narrative that people go with, and they try to virtue signal, and oh my god, people talking about the leaks, and you should feel ashamed, and then like the next 2 days they're going to be talking about whatever leak Marvel Studio has, or whatever leak the Hollywood Reporter talks about. Leaks happen all the time. This one is devastating because first off, a lot of information is out there. This is not a leak we would typically see. And it's a leak that really shouldn't happen because companies should have better cybersecurity. They should be checking constantly who's in their databases and who's taking this information and things like that. So this is, I don't know. It just upsets me that this is how people act, right? We're not gonna be discretionate of how we report on it. You don't have to talk about everything, right? We're trying not to talk about everything because it would ruin the surprise, right?
Exactly. And like we
So-
don't want this game ruined. How like I think I don't know about you, Braille, but at least for me, the more interesting stuff that was leaked was the business side of things, because it shows where Sony is at even if it's just one of their studios, it shows where they're at as a business, as a company, and because we've mentioned this in other studios, other streams, and hell, even X is finally catching on. The PS5 this generation has been very slim with exclusives.
Right.
Third
This has
party,
been a
third
joke
party,
going
and
around now.
third
Yes.
party and first party, and I'm gonna hold their feet to the fire, because if we're gonna make these memes and jokes about Xbox, I'm gonna do the same for Sony, because
I think
where are
that
they?
all these companies will do it to Nintendo too when they do stupid stuff. I feel like
but
we
here's the difference. Like Nintendo
Yeah.
always, for them, and I'm not trying to fanboy for Nintendo, but Nintendo, every direct, it feels like almost every direct now, they're like, hey, by the way, first party. Like they're
Right.
throwing out the W's with first party. Like it's like, bro. Like,
But I mean, but
crazy.
as for the Greg Miller stuff, I just feel like
get bent.
listen,
me.
I feel like for me, I do see it as virtue signaling, but I think if he came out and said, listen, normally we do cover leaks. Obviously, we're not going to cover the personal information
Of course not.
or all the details and etc. But we'll talk about the big newsworthy stuff. But because it's so personal and we know the people at Insomniac, we've decided not to do it. That I think would be okay, right? I would actually be like, you know what? I understand. You have a business relationship with them, a personal relationship with them. Okay, I understand, right? But the people to like shade other, people who are covering the news, that to me, that's where I'm like, come on. Like, we need to stop doing that, right? It's the news. It's out there. It's public information, right? And be smart, right? Be critical of how you're going to cover it. And that's really what it should be. It's newsworthy and it's just entertainment at the end of the day, right? We're still going to play the game, right? It's not like there's a copy of the game that you can download and play on your PS5, right? Most people are still going to buy the game. okay, so that's what we have to consider, and that's just how I see it personally. So
And again, like, you're absolutely right. Again, though, like, yeah, and it's not just. I want to go back to what RJ said about the difference in like how Eastern and Western developers are looked at when it comes to leaks. I do think that RJ's kind of spitting because like Capcom was not given any consideration whatsoever. And if this happened to Sega or hell, even Nintendo, I do think that Greg Miller and other people are going to cover this stuff. And then there are those that cover it all just because they think it's due diligence and it's, the right. If you're going to cover it one time for one thing, you should cover it every time, or not. It's either you do it all, you go all the way in. You either go in or you go home, basically.
Yeah, I think that's a very astute way to put it, and a good closing thought right there.
You either go in deep or you pull out.
Well, I wouldn't put it that way, but Jesus Christ,
bruh.
But you gotta be quick when you pull out, though, bro.
Yeah,
bruh.
Anyway, I think that's gonna wrap it up for us for this episode. Next episode, can we announce our plans for next episode?
Sure, go ahead.
Next episode is going to be a favorites of 2023. It's going to be the official Controller Chronicles Game of the Year show.
I'll say this again next week. I'll just say this though, game-wise, 2023 is going to be going down as one of the best years in gaming. On a personal level, 2023 can rest in piss. Pack watch. I'm done with this shit, bro. Let's get out of 2023.
Yeah,
I'm done, bro.
I'm excited because next week, listen, if you two don't have Game of the Years, don't worry. I'll be able to talk for 2 hours about one game, my Game of the Year.
Oh, no.
Well, I have a Game of the Year. I have some.
And I have a Game of the Year too, Sun Gun. So you can go ahead and just keep that Baldur's Gate talk to about 30 minutes.
Who said my Game of the Year was Baldur's Gate 3?
Bruh.
I never said that.
It leaked.
It leaked.
It didn't leak.
It did leak.
He said RJ leaked his Game of the Year.
RJ leaked. You played yourself. Congratulations. You played yourself.
Jeez. Yeah, that'll be next episode. That'll be the next one we do to
And
close
just
out the year.
I mean, also anticipate, like, what are we looking forward to next year?
Oh yeah. We'll talk a little bit about what we're
yeah.
looking forward to next year. Some anticipated
More
stuff.
Positive vibes. Leaving
Positive
2023.
vibes next episode. Yeah.
Even though 2023 didn't do that for us, we're leaving with positive vibes.
Right. All right. So closing this out. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you want to follow us personally, you can find me, RJ, over at Resident Justice on YouTube, Twitter, all that good stuff. Threads too. I know no one really uses that app anymore, but I do. Meta, where can
James
people
Gunn
find-
does.
He does. James Gunn does use Threads. Yeah. Meta, where can people find you?
I'm all around you. I am in the spirit of the holidays.
I guess that's true. You're
no, but like, you can find me on Twitter /X at the most meta down below. I am on Threads also. If you want to look me up there, I think it's friendly neighborhood meta, NHBD meta, I believe it's something like that. I haven't been on Threads in so long. And of course, if you want to subscribe to my YouTube channel, I am still on hiatus, but I am working on content behind the scenes for everyone. All I can ask for is just please be patient, and it will come out when it is ready.
Okay. Blinded, where can people find you?
Yeah, you can find me at Blinded Braille on Twitter, Threads, YouTube. I'm trying to post on Blue Sky. So I know that's a niche thing, yeah, because you got to get the invite code. But I
have a Blue
Wait!
Sky.
You gotta get an invite for shit. Wait, what?
Because it's in beta still.
Yeah, I can give you one. I have one.
As well.
No. If I didn't get one out the gate, I don't want one.
That's the only way you can really get one, though.
The only way you can get one is if you know someone who has one.
Yeah, if you know someone.
I'll start my own Blue Sky with blackjack and hookers.
Oh man.
Oh jeez. Yeah, I use Blue Sky, but I have Blue Sky, but I don't use it because nobody's on there. So
right. I'm also, yeah, no one's on there. That's the thing. But I'm also trying a new app called Stash. I know there's also, what does Meta use? Backlog.
I don't use
I just want to
shit.
promote that. Yeah, what's the game called? What's the website called?
Oh, I'm sorry. Infinite Backlog.
Infinite Backlog. Yeah.
Y'all, okay, yeah. If y'all want to do an Infinite Backlog account and follow myself, RJ, and Braille, that's another way to find out what we're playing, what we're going to be playing. If you follow me, this is not me leaking my own shit. I've shown both of these guys. If you follow me and you see my list, you'll see everything I intend to do for my channel when I have the free time. It's a lot. I have over 100 lists made now.
I still need to update my
Holy shit.
account.
Yeah, I mean, I mostly use Stash just because it's a little bit simplistic, but go check me out on those websites.
I'm going to do a quick plug for them because it's honestly an awesome website. With Infinite Backlog, you can also connect your Steam, GOG account, Xbox account, PlayStation account, even like you cannot connect your Switch account yet, but they're working on adding Switch accounts. I did see it. I'm also in the
gotta
Discord.
figure out a way to get past the Nintendo ninjas. So
Nintendo ninjas.
Yeah.
The N is a symbol of hope.
Jesus.
Bruh.
Alrighty. Well, that's gonna close it out for us. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. Episode 5 of Controller Chronicles. We'll be back next time for 2023 wrap up and most anticipated and discussing next 2024 in video games. Should be a
happy
fun
holidays,
time.
y'all.
And happy holidays. Yes. Happy holidays. Have a happy Merry Christmas, a happy Kwanzaa, happy Hanukkah, all that good stuff. Well, Hanukkah already passed. Didn't
Yeah, that already passed, but
Oh,
you get the point.
Yeah, you get the point. Happy holidays. And that's not
happy
good.
Knishmas, happy Festivus.
Yeah, and if happy holidays isn't good enough, then what do the angry video game nerds say, Meta?
I actually don't know. I don't follow angry video game nerds like that.
He said, happy, go F yourself.
Oh, I did. I don't know. I don't watch his content.
Oh, that's sad. Anyway, happy holidays, everybody. Thank you so much. We're out of here. Peace.
Peace.
Peace.